How are you?
It seems to come out a lot, that for me.
Okay, I think we'll make a start. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name's Alan Reader, part of the Council's communications team. It's terrific that you're here tonight. It's a part of the exercise of keeping Council in touch with the business community and the community in touch with Council. We're going to be a couple of quick housekeeping things before I hand over to Mayor Kidd, who's will give you a quick welcome, and then some presentations. A couple of quick housekeeping matters. Toilets are through the door there and out to the back. I'm also advised to tell you that in case of emergency, if there's an alarm goes off, a council staff member will see you out of the building, follow a staff member into a place out in the car park, and we'll wait there until the emergency is passed. It's highly unlikely that an emergency will happen, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Also like to pay tribute to the acknowledged Wiradjuri people, who are the traditional custodians of the land, paying respect to elders both past and present of the Wiradjuri nation, and extending that respect to other Aboriginal Australians who are present. It's an important night. The Council wants to stay in touch, and so we've got 3 presentations to give you some interesting updates on the business and economic community in terms of where Orange is going, some things you may not have heard before. 3 quick presentations and then the opportunity for some questions. So it's we want to hear what's important to you. We want to hear your requests for information, debating points, whatever you want to throw up is what we want to hear. We'll be taking some notes tonight. We're also trying as much as possible to do the live stream thing. You've probably noticed that council meetings have been live streamed lately, and so we'll be doing that. It's getting better. We're getting better at live streaming to make it more watchable. Currently it's a single camera thing, and so we will be live streaming tonight. If you want to ask a question, come to one of the microphones so we make sure you get the question as well. It's handy if you want to check that thing that person said in the meeting later. You can go home and watch it on YouTube. So that'll be there. So quickly, a couple of presentations, but to begin, Mayor Reg Kidd for a quick welcome.
Hi folks, welcome this evening.
Done that, sorry. I've done that. Thanks, Reg. To begin tonight, the Chair of the Council's Employment and Economic Development Committee, Councillor Tony Maletta.
Thank you, Alan. And further to Alan's housekeeping, you notice that there are peanuts and chips out there. Peanuts are for eating, not for throwing at me. I may be allergic to them, so I can't imagine too many people tripping over themselves to resuscitate me, although it may look good on live stream, but we don't want to go there, so please enjoy them as we go on. First of all, thank you for everybody for attending. And my name is Tony Maletta, and I'm an Orange City Councillor, and I'm also the Chair of the Employment and Economic Development Committee. In addition to what Alan said, I'd also like to thank my fellow councillors who are able to be here today, and I notice that Councillors Nugent, McRae, Turner and the Mayor are here. I don't believe there are any other apologies, but thank you for turning up and supporting this event. I'd also like to thank staff who are present today, made themselves available, and also acknowledge those staff who have assisted in putting this business forum together. We do appreciate it. I believe that this forum is an opportunity to look at some of the data from our latest analysis of regional spending from Orange City Council Spend Map. It is also an opportunity for the local business operators to hear the latest information and to ask questions at the end, as Alan's already stated. Forum is about keeping the business community in touch with the latest information which is available to us. Tony Boylan did indicate to me today that he's received the latest up-to-date stats. I think it was either yesterday or today, Tony, and so he'll touch on them later on in his presentation. As people who may not be aware, SpendMap information is sourced via Data Republic. Data is compiled independently and collated by SpendMap. SpendMap uses bank data to measure event impact, economic growth and sector spending. What some people may not be aware of is that shoppers from Bathurst are spending more money in Orange than vice versa. That is according to the latest data which we've received. It also goes for our neighbours in Dubbo. At the present time, I believe that there's a real sense of excitement in Orange since the opening of the new shopping centre in the Dalton Street in the Dalton Brothers building. People were previously worried about the lack of shopping options in Orange. Now those people have a new direction. It was certainly exciting to see last Saturday, and the same councillors who I mentioned here earlier were down there for that. To see the enthusiasm of those people who were there after waiting so long to see that building open, a real sense of achievement for the developers and those shop owners. And I certainly hope that people in the Orange community get behind and support those businesses, as well as all the other business in this town. As you'll see as we go through the PowerPoint presentations later, reality is through the last financial year, even that Dalton building was under construction, people living in Bathurst were still spending more money in Orange than what people who live in Orange spend in the Bathurst store. And as I said previously, the same went for Dubbo. That's really encouraging, and it demonstrates people's confidence in the local economy and the fact that we're able to provide stores that suit people's needs. But in saying that, there is also some major challenges with regards to online spending, etc. I'll just note that another councillor, Prevotero, has arrived, and thank you, councillor. The figures from the last financial year are quite clear. Although Tony has some latest up-to-date ones, residents did spend $20.6 million in Bathurst and the Kelso region. When I say they spent, Orange residents spent $0.6 million according to that data, but Bathurst residents in the meanwhile spent $29.8 million in the Orange for the same period. That really equates to a difference of $8.5 million, 41%. So there certainly is a lot more money being spent in Orange than what's going out of the town. Also interesting when you look at the different categories of spending, which Tony will touch on a bit later. We can discuss those further at the completion of the presentation. We might go through some slides, Kathy, if that's okay. The first slide that you will see up there is Orange population stats. The population in Orange is growing, we consider to be a steady and sustainable rate. Orange population grew by 4,634 people in the last 10 years, and that was of the 30th of June 2018. They're the latest figures which we have available. Employment is growing. Over 200 vacancies are active on SEEK for Orange as of the 19th of 11th, 2019, and that's only 2 days gone. So that's certainly encouraging that there are that many vacancies available. Some people might say, well, okay, well, unemployment's, maybe around 5.3 or whatever it is. However, when you look at those vacancies, you also got to consider skill basis, what those jobs are. So we may not possess those trades or that skill base to fill those positions. Hence the reason there may be opportunities for other people to want to relocate to Orange to take up those opportunities as they present themselves. Tourism visitor numbers are higher than 1 million people per year, and that's predicted to grow by 25% in the coming years. And that really is fantastic news for this city. And that continues to grow, and it has done over a number of years. And that just doesn't come naturally. It's a culmination of a lot of hard work by a lot of different people, not only council staff, but our businesses and our tourism operators, people like that. So it really is a joint effort to get those type of people here. There are a lot of stakeholders there who contribute to that. Go to the next slide. Residential statistics. People may not be aware that there are around 300 new residential buildings a year being built in the Orange local government area at a value of more than 90 million, and a further 12 million is being spent on residential renovations. In the last financial year, there was a further 125 million in non-residential construction. That really does typify the confidence which people have in this community. That continues to grow. That adds up to more than 100 million in residential confidence that the city is going ahead. When you consider that Orange has around 16,000 households, this is a new house construction, which we believe is measured and sustainable. That 300 new residents per year, consistent over a number of years, based on projected growth, and that we believe that it's measured and sustainable. In the 2018-2019 financial year, Orange held a total construction work valued at $345 million. Can't think of many other regional centres which would be able to speak of those type of numbers. But it certainly does typify, again, the confidence which developers and investors have in this wonderful city that we all live in. Yeah, major construction projects, as people would probably be aware, we've had a steady stream of construction projects in recent years, and the major projects include the new DPI building, which is valued at approximately $74 million, and that project's involved a number of local suppliers, such as a concrete supplier, and councillors and council staff were invited up there for that, and there was an incredible amount of trucks of concrete, metres of concrete. I can't remember exactly how many were, but certainly where possible, those that company did indicate they used local producers and labour where it was able to be sourced. The new private hospital, $50 million there, that's almost complete, and it certainly adds to what is already a wonderful medical precinct which is occurring out there. The new Quest apartments, $10.5 million there, and also, as I've just stated earlier, the Myer redevelopment, which has some time been coming. However, certainly speaking to people in the community, and was certainly worth the wait. What does all this mean for employment in Orange? It's important to remember that once these organisations or these businesses open, etc., these big construction projects turn into major sources of new employment. As I've already indicated, there are 200 vacancies at the moment. We would expect that to increase somewhat. Soon there's the next wave of growth in the Cadia mine, which is about to begin. Again, Cadia mine is a major employer in this town. They're expanding significantly, which is going to mean greater economic activity for the businesses of Orange moving forward. That also presents some challenges which we need to be aware of also. From retail and admin through to the highly skilled jobs in the healthcare sector, these projects will lead to employment for people who are already living in Orange, as well as people who will move here for work, further boosting the residential construction sector. And when I talk about 300 residences per year being built, certainly we expect that to continue, but we also expect to be some stress on the rental market also. But I'm aware that Cadia Mine, in all their due diligence, are dealing with council staff and they're addressing those issues that they raise. So they just haven't said, look, we're doing this expansion. They've been responsible and they've come to council and said, look, this is what we want to do. With regards to their shutdowns, things like that, they're organising them around other events. So they've been very cooperative in realising the needs of other businesses, activities which are happening in Orange around the same period. Certainly working with council to achieve an outcome which is positive for all parties. So I do thank Cadia Mine for that. That's about all I have at the moment, so I might call on the next speaker. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. There's some important data that you've heard about tonight, and Tony's going to unpack some more. The key thing is that they're big numbers in terms of how many million are coming from different parts of the world to be spent here in Orange. It gets really interesting when you look at the details. How can I find out how much has been spent in my sector? How can that help me chart my advertising? Am I missing out or am I doing well with that? Tony Boland is our Business Development Officer, and he's got some stuff to say about that.
Thanks very much, everyone. So some of you have heard a presentation on SpendMap before, and SpendMap is spelt with double P, it's not a mistake. It's a proprietary system that tracks banking expenditure. So as we go through, hopefully it'll make sense to you. That's a good idea. Okay, so the data that we receive is from, by the way, we can provide a copy of this presentation for anyone that wants it. There's nothing secret in it. Data is received from 9 banks and credit unions. Basically, they apply a formula that calculates out for all banks in Australia plus international where they make transactions in Australia. Then apply a further algorithm that allows for cash, checks, basically the cash economy. And then that's the figure we end up with at the end. So while it's not exactly correct, it's about as good as we're ever going to get from an independent source. So it's reliable enough that we can make decisions based on the information they're provided. The important part is it doesn't include utilities, so no gas, water, your phone, electricity, so that it doesn't come into the online sales or over-the-counter sales. Some of you have probably seen the sheets that we've put around before. These sheets, we've given them a trial. We've asked for feedback. We haven't really got much, to be honest. I don't know whether people are happy with it exactly how it is or just haven't got back to us as yet, but are working very diligently on testing our sheets for us. The information, we take parts of our spend map data, put it together in various ways. So one of them is retail, where we have 8 subcategories, and we then test that information over a year-on-year basis and an annual basis, so that you get an indication of how we're going this year compared to last year, but also how much we've spent over the 12 months. As well as doing a retail one, we have a hospitality one, which is fairly important for the tourism component. Tourism and visitors in general are a very big part of our economy. So what this SpendMap program allows us to do is see who's spending money in and out of Orange. In Orange, it's residents and visitors. Out of Orange, it's where our residents are spending money, and it also tracks where they're spending money online. It breaks it down into about, I think it's 15 or 16 categories. So it's 900 business types are then put into 16 categories. We can track that, and we can use that to help you with your business. Okay, as I said, the visitors are very important. They're worth over $500 million a year in our economy. So that's 500 million plus every year. So when you see why Orange invests so much in tourism, that's a key component. So that's people who do not live here bringing money into our town every day, day in, day out, all year. Bathurst and Dubbo. We constantly hear people go and do all their shopping in Bathurst and Dubbo. No, they don't. As you can see, Dubbo gets about $5.85 million or something similar. When you take out all the people that went there to go to the zoo, the people that went there for sporting events, they might have called in on the way past a cafe or a pub and got a carton of beer. The rugby league and rugby union boys are pretty famous for that. But there's very few people that make that destinational shopping. They tend to go there for something else and do it as well. I'm very guilty of it. Anyone that knows me knows that I like to spend a week in Bathurst every year, the week after the long weekend, and watch the cars go around. That's about $1,000 that I contribute to their economy every year, and probably similar from everyone else in our group. So we're probably a bit closer with destinational shopping in terms of Bathurst, but those certainly not. The big one there Orange residents spent $326 million a year online and growing. Not growing as fast as we probably expected it would be, but it is growing. The problem with the online figure is we can't separate out which is Orange online retail and which is elsewhere online retail. So if your business runs retail on both hard or bricks and mortar and online, we can't separate that out. So of that $326 million, it could be half of that might be online. I doubt that. Online local. But it could be as much as 20 or 30, maybe even 40 million could be online local. This way. Slow learner. Okay, so I thought we might put it up about how much we're hammering our neighbours. And it's not intentional. It just gives you an indication of how much we draw out of the areas around us. So the big surprise there is Molong. It's a huge amount of money that we drag out of it and not a lot of money that we put back. Dubbo and Bathurst we've already covered, but the likes of Blaney, Millthorpe, Parks, Forbes, imagine being a retailer there. Their money's coming this way. We're not sending any money back, or hardly any money back. As I said, this will be in the package if you want to use it later. Okay, so while SpendMap's quite good for in the bigger picture, we can also help break that down more to your business level. So we can track, as I said, one of the 16 industries. You can work out which industry you fit within, and then we can do baselining with you. See where you fit against competitors. See how much of the market you might be into or missing out on. So we dragged out an example there with specialised luxury goods, and these are genuine figures. So they came off the SpendMap thing today. So that's a market worth $102 million in total in Orange over a 12-month period. About 38% is from visitors, and about 3.8% of that is from Parks and Forbes alone. So it's possible to bring it down and work out where's the money coming from. If you're in a specialised luxury good, it might come from Sydney. I didn't have time to analyse all of them. But that's the offer we're making with businesses. We will sit down and help them to look at that broadly. So some of the ways we encourage people to use the SpendMap data is come and book a session with us, but also within your store, do postcode surveys and just ask people how they found out about you. It's really simple. You don't ask; they don't have to write anything down. And most chain stores have postcode surveys. People are very happy to do it. It's part of habit now. They just give their postcode. But it's important if you're in a market where there's a lot of out of town influence or a lot of visitor money coming in, you need to be able to work out, are you tapping into that visitor market or not? And if not, how do you tap into it? Depending on the market that you're in, it could be radio advertising in another location, it could be paper advertising, it might be web-based, it could be Facebook. So there's no one solution anymore. There's solutions for different generations, different markets. So you've really got to be across the lot. The other one that we like to use is the free online publications. Inside Retail and Inside Retail Australia, they give you global directions, national directions. They tell you what the competition's doing at a high level. but they focus a lot on David Jones, Myer, and why they're changing their market. If David Jones and Myer aren't doing it, then like if they're not kicking goals left, right, and centre, how can we be expected to do the same unless we take their lead and work out where our niche is in that market? So most people will be aware now that the big groups are not going into big 5,000, 6,000 square metre shops anymore. They're going to 500, 600 metre shops. You go in, you try something on, you order it online, it turns up at your house next day or the day after. That's their new business model. There's some other things that keep popping up about how to improve access into the market, and it can be with or without the SpendMap data. But we like to reinforce these things. The one that constantly is a business trap is websites where people will go and join a Hot Frog or some other sort of business directory. A lot of people, and particularly I'm one of them, if you're searching through and you come up to that business directory, you skip it, you go to someone that's got a genuine website. You can see the effort that they've put into advertising their business, see about the quality. So those sorts of things are important to people. Also, remember the type of business you're in. If you're in hospitality, you should be displaying your menu so people can see it. People don't go and eat just on spec, particularly if they're with friends and family. So it's just being aware of the industry you're in and how you're facing that towards your customer and how to get in touch with the customer. So in the end, if you want to come in and get an analysis done with your business, to do that, it'll probably take you half an hour to 45 minutes. But we can sit down and go through, give you an analysis, you walk away and then do what you like with it. But we're happy to provide suggestions about how it might improve. So, thank you.
Thanks, Tony. For about the last 12, 18 months now, we've been looking towards upgrading our CBD. Some of you, as I look around the room, are involved in the process of helping us decide what to do there. Some urban designers have been appointed to come up with hundreds and hundreds of new ideas of ways that are going forward. There's been a community reference panel who's giving them some good feedback on how things are going. In the coming months, those ideas will be unveiled and prioritised and somehow budgeted and started to work through. It's coming under the heading of Future City, how to not just update our CBD, but look at the bigger picture of where Orange is going. And Jason's going to give us an update.
Thanks, Al. I'm not going to spend too much time here for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I'm the understudy for tonight. Nick Redmond's meant to be doing this. And secondly, it's about hearing from you guys, not me. So I'll tell you a little bit about this draft strategy that's coming out. As Al said, it's called OC Future City, and it falls out of our Activate Orange economic strategy. Now, the Activate Orange is Orange in itself. So it talks about the Southern Feeder Road, the Life Sciences Precinct down near the hospital and all that. OC Future City is about the CBD. It's about you guys, really. It's about the business. To me, it's about economic development, but it's a lot of other things as well. So the intent of the OC Future City project is to identify and address how the city centre will respond to evolving needs of the region, local residents, businesses, workers and visitors to Orange. We engaged SJB Urban Design and Planning, and they have a team of landscape architects, economists, engineers, heritage advisors. There's quite a huge team there. There's been a number of consultation meetings throughout the year, and I think a few of you kind people have been on a few of the meetings. We're getting towards the 11th hour of the project, and we're starting to get a few ideas. So we've got about 100 ideas in here, plus probably about half a dozen project precincts, CBD being one of them. So, and this, I guess, is more about encouraging people and local and regional to come into the CBD and spend more time there when they arrive. A lot of it's about creating linkages through the CBD and making it more walkable, and it's about movement. For example, really important part is how we're going to get those 900 people that are moving from down there up to the new hospital site, how to get them down into the CBD. Very important for us. So there's a dozen ideas on how to do that. Get those DPI workers down at lunchtime. So it's got three strong themes to it. It's about attracting people to the city, about increasing the number of people that are living and working in the city. Living is a great way to get people in the city, is to make them live there. And it's about making the city more walkable and addressing the dominance of private vehicles in the city, and trying to reduce that reliance on using vehicles as a primary mode of getting into the city and travelling around looking for a car park. One of the projects identified here is the civic precinct here through to Wade Park. Quite interesting. Another one, Lord's Place, reinforces a key public connection from Wade Park through to Robbo Park, with improved sidewalks, water-sensitive urban design, cycle lanes, footpaths, defined parking and new street trees. A part of it might be about activating Robinson Park with a kids' playground, or having temporary closures of Byng Street like we did there at the Wine Week. It's about getting people to move around the city and through these precincts. I think it was quite a success, actually, that Wine Week, getting people to move into the civic precincts. So it'll have this future city will have a CBD. It'll include a public art program, and it has smart city stuff. So it's not just about woodland grey thingy with a flower pot off it. It's about movability. It's about economics. It's about making the city live. And it's not about infrastructure, and it's also about ideas. One of the ideas that's been put forward in this draft is to form Orange City Centre business incentive policy, supports businesses and encourages the expansions of new businesses. So it's pretty widespread, this whole thing. So I'll leave it there, and encourage you to really get involved in this when it comes out for consultation, because it's really important. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. All kinds of other ideas, and we'll be hearing about more of those in the coming months. And fully consulted, and it's great we've got lots of councillors here. They need to hear the priorities of the community. So now we're moving on to questions. If you've come with questions, if you've come with whatever you want to come along with, now's the time to hear from it. We've got people around the room with some of the answers. If they don't have the answers to give you, we'll get back to you. If you've left your email address, we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you want to stand up and make a point, to put something on the agenda, that's up for grabs too. Who wants to go first? If you could come to one of the two mics, that would make it easier for keeping tabs on things. Bob, want to go to a mic? Thanks, mate. If you like to, you're probably well known, but say your name and so we know who you are for people who aren't. Thanks, Bob. Yep.
Bob Holland from Orange City Life. Most of you probably know of me if you don't know me. I've got a couple of comments to make and probably a question or two. I've got a real passion for small business. How many retailers are here tonight? 3, 4, 5. It's not many, is it? I've got a real passion for small business and particularly the retail sector. And it's interesting. We've heard all this, which is really wonderful. It's great to hear all these reports, and there's absolutely no doubt on many fronts, Orange is really, really flying. It's doing a great job. But I'm sad to say that from a retail point of view, I think our retailers in this city, and I know a lot of you have heard this all before, but I think they're being neglected, they're being rejected, they're not being appreciated, there's not enough being done for them, and all the people, or a lot of the people who should be helping them are doing absolutely nothing. And I'd have to say that information like we've heard tonight, this speed map thing, as a business person, I'm a pretty clear thinking, normal person, but I think that's a whole lot of hooey. I really think that's a whole lot of hooey. And the reason I say that is if you think it through logically, if you just use good sense, there'd have to be a reason why 41% or 10 million, 9 million more dollars is being spent by Bathurst people in Orange. There's got to be something up here to attract them, or there's got to be some sort of marketing initiative. Do you honestly think that people would just come from Bathurst to Orange if nothing's being done? If it's just they've got the same shops, in some cases they've got better shops. Same with Dubbo. I just find that unbelievable to think that that would happen. If we were doing something, if we had a mire or we had some great attraction or something, I could understand it. But I can't believe figures like that. And the other thing is, and I don't fully understand it, I looked up that Speed Map Mod or Spend Map Mod. They're a massive organisation. They do 50 million surveys and things. And do we really think they've got access to bank accounts and bank money and bank movements? And if they are, they're probably just a sample. So I just find that unbelievable. And as I say, if that's happening in Orange now, and we're doing basically no marketing or no promotion for our retail other than the individuals, do we honestly think that's enough incentive for people to come to Bathurst up here? So I find that really hard. The other thing that you need to know is that today, believe it or not, I heard a news report this morning that said, I don't know who it is, a business council or somebody, is saying that there is a higher level of dissatisfaction with the government. Business is really unhappy at the moment. The government is making it harder and harder for businesses to do business, and we all know that. And a lot of small business people, the survey showed some, don't quote me on this, but the numbers are roughly right. The last time they did a survey, 21% of businesses reckon it's going to be worse off 12 months from now. The latest survey they did is something like 28% of people reckon it's going to be worse off in 12 months from now. So my point being is that here in Orange, we all know what Orange 360 is doing. We know what a fantastic job. We know how much money the council spends on promoting tourism and all that. It's all about people, I should tell you. And all these things about doing up the CBD and the main streets and all that, that's all good, all this development. But nobody is actually marketing our business sector. The Orange 360 has the benefit of hundreds of thousands of dollars from councils to set up offices, to do promotions, to do that. We're talking about last Saturday morning here in Orange, the city centre. It was a great day, wasn't it? Who takes credit for that? Who takes credit? Was there any other than the city centre? Did anyone do anything? Did the council do anything? Did the business chamber do anything? Did anybody advertise it other than them? So my point being is that was a shopping and retail event. Call it whatever you like. Doesn't it make sense that if somebody did things like that, like Orange 360, they have promotions. They do promotions in Sydney. They market wine, or they help market Wine Week or whatever. They've got other committees even doing it, and they help them. It's quite an interesting concept, a great concept.
Bob, we've got lots of questions to get through.
Yeah, well,
Thanks, mate.
I mean, I think if you haven't got the point, but we need to do something. And if we can't put some money aside and get something to start promoting retailers, honestly, more and more of them are going to leave. You're going to lose, their jobs are going to go with them, and it's just not going to work. It's not fair.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Can I ask one question, Alan? Dave Woodell.
Do you want to come to a mic, Dave?
Of you, Bob. Bob, we've talked about this before. You say that Orange 360 and tourism is really is great. Just for the non-hospitality small businesses in Orange, how good is tourism to the shops? It must be of some use to have people or whatever coming in with 25% increases.
Tourism is absolutely vital. The problem with tourism is it's the only thing that governments and councils get excited about. Tourists, no matter how you want to call it, are just people. The more people we can get to Orange to shop, do business, have services, come to entertainment or anything else, that's the name of the game. And there's all this emphasis to bring them here for wine week. There's all this emphasis to bring them here for food week. There's all this emphasis to bring them here for sporting events and all that, for entertainment, for shows. That's great. But that's what I call the tourist sector or the hospitality sector. Over here, you've got retail and service. And, you know, every time you hear someone talk about tourists coming to town, they'll mention someone like Bobby's Clothing or Tonic or one of those boutique stores. Does anybody think that someone's going to come here for 1 week and go and buy something from Kent's Hardware, Inspirations Paint, stores like that? You know?
Do you think they want them to? If you spoke to B&B Kent and said, do you think Wine Week should be benefiting your store?
No, I don't think that's nuts.
And I don't think you should. And I don't think you would.
No, that's right. But he'd like to see something that would benefit his store. Why can't we have a motoring week or something where all the car dealers have sales, or we have a. Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. Do you want to come up to the mic, mate, and say good day? Just one quick point in response. Data Republic and SpendMap are very professional businesses who don't make up figures, who get data directly from people's banks accounts, who are completely privacy protected, completely. There's no way we know what's going on. If there's any chance of small population centres being identified, the figures, there's no chance of privacy. We just certainly don't get that information. But the figures come from actual bank accounts. Credit card numbers, online spending. They are very reputable, professionally run businesses that provide data independently. So they're good figures, Bob. Yep.
First of all, I'd just like to thank Orange City Council for putting this on. I think it's a great idea and I think it's something that should be done more and more. I think Orange City Council's job is to get people to Orange, not in particular people to come here to buy stuff from David Kent's or the pharmacy. Get people to Orange and get them spending their money. I'm in an industry where I get to see the whole broad section of why people come to Orange and where they spend their money. That is a taxi, sorry, I was the chairman of Orange Taxis for 20 years. People come to Orange, they might be here for Wine Week or whatever. They go to Eunice Jackson, they go to Sonic, they go to all of these places, they eat, they drink, they have a good time, and they tell people about us. That is what they're here for. That is what Orange City Council's role is. I've got nothing to do with Orange City Council. However, I don't believe that Orange City Council's job is to get somebody here. I'm Ecoscape Solutions. It's not their job for Orange City Council to get me business. It is my job to, while people are in Orange, to see my logo, to see what we do, and to use us moving forward. That's basic. I mean, and we spoke about this morning at a Put Orange First meeting. I firmly believe that the data, whether you believe it or not, we need a benchmark. Okay, and we need to be able to move forward. The data that's being shown, you can't say that it's not right. Okay, you might not agree with the way it's collated, but you've now got the opportunity to investigate the data, find out where your business sits in it, and it's a great starting point. I think I commend Orange City Council for going ahead with it.
Terrific. Questions? Someone's going to the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe McRae, one of the Orange City Councillors. I respect the suggestion that there's maybe some issues with the SpendMap data, but my question would be, it may be across different industries, but if not SpendMap, what other data sources are there and should we be using? And if Bob's, particularly if you're concerned that we're relying on it too much, what other reliable sources could we use, particularly the council could access for that strategic approach to help in whatever way we can attract residents or tourists or the friends and visitors who are coming. And I think we need to recognise the health industry as well. A number of people who are coming from Parkes, Forbes, Cowra, Molong for medical treatments and are also then coming and spending some time in town, and how that impacts. But I'm interested in if there's other data sources that perhaps council should consider. I love data and statistics, I'm a bit of a data nerd. And if there's other sources we should be using, could you please share them with us, whether that's letting Councillor Mileto know or straight back to Tony.
Councillor, you raise a great point about the magnificent health facilities and services which we have in Orange. And up until the last data, I can tell you that just over 11% of the spend in Orange, which was coming from Dubbo and Bathurst, 11% of that money was people visiting our health services. So whilst they were here and getting treatment and that, they were taking the opportunity to visit our stores and spend some money. And I don't think that can be underestimated. So that 11%, if you equate to what was spent, it isn't a food, wine week or whatever. They've come in there for a specific purpose. Those health facilities continue to grow. And I just want to make the comment with regards to businesses. And quite often we receive a lot of inquiry about what council should be doing for business and that. And I agree with the comment made by the speaker that Orange Council work really hard to create an environment where businesses want to come here. And there is no shortage of businesses who are making inquiries on a weekly basis about starting up in Orange. But the challenge for us is whether we can be measured and sustainable in those businesses coming here. Not just invite everybody who wants to come here, but have a plan moving forward. And that's what's very important for us. We can create an environment where people want to come for Food Wine Week, for our sporting events, and there's not a huge outlet to on a council's behalf to have a touch football state carnival here, which attracts thousands of people. Hockey's the same, touch football, all that sort of thing. That brings massive people. But people say, oh, well, it's been spent in hospitality and restaurants, etc., in combination. Well, so what? That's what we want, because whilst ever those restaurants and accommodation is being filled up, that's creating jobs for people. And what I would expect to see is when people have got jobs, they're going to spend money they're going to put that money back in the community. And that's what we want to see. But the challenge for us is to keep those people from spending in other areas, other towns, online. We want them to spend it here. So as a council, we can provide the environment to do that. But at some stage, businesses, I would like to think, take a responsibility and say, well, okay, you've done that. Now, how can we cash in on that? And whether it's destination shopping, whether it's advertising or whatever, what I don't like is whether it's council or government telling you how to run your business. I mean, I know nothing about some industries, and it's not up for me to tell you what to do. I mean, there are professionals here who know a lot more than what I do. So I'm not going to patronise people and say this is what you should be doing, because it's none of my business. We create the environment. It's up to you to take up the opportunity.
Thanks, Tony. Another question up the back.
I'm Noelle Cornish, and I'm at Orange Credit Union, so financial services. That's, people don't just, come shopping from other places to get what we serve. Back to Joanne's comment, I guess the statistics that we always struggle with, and I'm sure, any kind of real estate agents or any other residential type of industries around, is we can't get great data on what is actually happening in Orange. All the data that seems to be coming through us, unless we do really, funky things with it. The data that comes to us is more, Sydney kind of based. So that would be something that we, and many businesses I think who are in similar financial industry capacity would quite enjoy real statistics on, down to the, mortgages and that kind of stuff and what's happening in our local environment.
Sure. Tony offered to do appointments with people that he's ready to roll. Yep, come to the front. Just while that person's coming up, the point that Daryl made, whatever the stats are, use it as a benchmark. Take that as okay, if this is one level, do that. Discover you're missing out on some business that's coming into your competitors from Parkes Forbes, Target Parkes, Forbes Advertising. And then use that and move on from there. Yep, thank you.
Hello, I'm Amanda Spalding, and I've got many heads and many hats, including the Orange Business Chamber, Put Orange First, Orange Community Broadcasters, etc. And I've been in economic development in councils for about 30 odd years in England and New South Wales. So I take on board a lot of what's being said. I understand why Councillor Mileto is saying businesses should mind their own business, but the thing is that what is the CBD? The CBD is council's business. And if the bricks and mortar in the CBD, if all the retail shops go, because they can't compete with online, because of the other costs remain high, and we know, that Orange's costs are high in the CBD in rent and rates. If the shops all empty out, then what are the tourists going to do when they're here, and what's Orange CBD going to look like? So I do think that there's more that people need to do working together. I've raised the topic of who the CBD property owners are with a number of people, and people have just gone, well, there's no point talking to them, they won't talk to you, blah, 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 but there is. Because the CBD is, more the council's business than a lot of things are. So I do think that there's a need for a conversation there about what, if we don't have retail in the CBD, what are we going to have? We've got all these ideas about, improving the CBD, but if there are no shops, what's the alternative? Now, maybe there is an alternative, but I haven't seen it anywhere in the world. Australia is doing better in terms of retail and not online than other places in the world. So whatever it is that's making people a bit more loyal here to buying from bricks and mortar is good, and we need to work out more of it. And when one sector's in recession, then the other sectors that feed off it, like commercial property owners, should also look at what they're charging. Now, I know that in terms of tax, that doesn't, they get tax breaks and all that kind of thing. We talked to the New South Wales Minister for Small Business and Finance about that. Of course, that's not his bag, it's the feds and ATO and everything. But to me, working together as a city with leadership, we need to go, we don't want to see all these empty shops. We want to see alternatives, maybe pop-up shops, maybe people who come here for the markets to go into the empty shops. There's a variety of different things. Now, Orange 360 just won a Gold Award for packaging of tourism. And I wasn't clear whether they were packaging wineries and shops, if you see what I mean, because I've talked to a lot of retailers here who have, now gone, empty shops and everything. And they said, well, if I'd have known there was 300 people in Orange on Sunday, or whatever, I would have opened on Sunday. But when I open on Sunday, I pay double penalty rates, and it's not worth my while. So that improving the information going round, so we know when people are here and making the retail maybe part of the packaging. So just some thoughts about how we could do things, because I do think the council has to take responsibility for the CBD.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got about 5 minutes left for questions. A quick one in response. I think you'll find some of the exact things you mentioned, they rang bells for me in the 100 or so ideas that have come from this really interesting bunch of people and the community consultation that's gone with it. Tony also wants me to mention that there are some of these to take away tonight. If you'd like some more, we can send them out by email, etc. as well. And a quick apology from Andrew G, who was meaning to come here, but he sends his apologies. We've got about another 4 minutes for questions. That burning issue that you were going to ask and you'll remember to do as soon as you get home. Yep.
What can council do about empty shops?
Anyone like to take that one on? Was that one? Was that an answer?
One of the
Hang on.
One of the things that comes in the future city ordinance draft is to actually just put posters over the shop and make it look like there's something in there.
Ash, thank you.
I think to some of the part of the answer is, though, that some of those building owners are working with the current legislation. So if the government allows those shops to be vacant, well, they'll take advantage of that. So that's not up for me to decide. council at this point in time.
Yep, you're on. What's your name?
Ash Brown from Orange Business Chamber. I've been in retail. I know what it's like. I've owned a shop in Summer Street as well. A bricks and mortar shop is a business too. So we can't make those owners bring their rents down. It's supply and demand. We lease. As a real estate agent, we lease a lot of retail shops out as well. If the owner doesn't want to come down to the market that someone's offering, that shop stays vacant. It's very simple. That owner has a business for themselves to run. So council can't force someone to reduce their rent or to put posters in the window or let some market people in there without electricity and insurance. It's supply and demand. And I've got to say, Tony, I love the initiative for the Spend Map. I think it's fantastic data. I want to get a copy of it and use it for my own business. And I think everyone in here in Orange, I didn't realise we could do that. So I think that's a fantastic initiative, and I'll be coming down to see you to see if I can make my business better too. Retail, I've done a lot of studies, or look at a lot of studies on retail. It's changing worldwide, it's not just Orange. The funny thing is with retail, in the studies that I've read, is that they are talking about having more hospitality and more services in with those retail shops. And I think this actually came out in one of Orange City Council's consultants that came up from Sydney. They were talking about the mix that has to be for the future. So in the 80s, you would have 10 retail shops in a row. That can't happen anymore. We need to have a hospitality, a service, a retailer. A service, a retailer. A hospitality, a retailer. Because all of these people that go shopping have to go to services, have to go to hospitality, and they'll walk past the retailer. So those retailers can go and look at those studies themselves, I'm sure. But Darren, what you said was probably right. Look at your own backyard first. Go and do the Spend Map data. Find out what's happening in your sector and make your own business better. I think what council is doing is fantastic to help us do that. That data is invaluable. Like, who would have thought we could get that for Orange? I remember years ago it was available for Australia, for New South Wales. You could get it from your accountant. It was hopeless because it was nothing to do with Orange. Now we've got it for Orange. So I think we've got to look in our own backyards. I'm sure council can do some more things, but this is a really good start. But I think all of us have got to take responsibilities for our own business. Forget about the landlord. He's not going to give anyone a break. He's running a business too.
Thanks, Ash. One of the things I find interesting in the details of here is if rents in Summer Street are high, what if just off Summer Street a little nook could be discovered where pop-ups might get a start? What if rents could be lower just off Summer Street? I don't know, shops, boutique shops around a disused car park that might be paved and might be attractive on weekends, and some of those will go bust, some of those will be successful and then move into Summer Street. Who knows? Yeah.
If all of the answers are in there, when is that coming?
Yeah, Dave?
Yeah, I was going to end with that.
Yeah, sure.
It's a critical thing. At this rate, I would say we're looking at a very good draft for council in December, and the public consultation will go through our council will be in the first quarter of next year. We've got significant funds in our budget already to spend on hardcore infrastructure, so I'm very keen to really launch. Now, who's on the reference committee for the Future City project?
There's a few.
I think all of you tuned with that website, and we will then update you as the consultation goes. It will impact that project millions of dollars of spending. So it may, outside your shop, you know, you may see new footpaths, new Barnabees, you might see a whole lot of spending going on. We've got the precincts targeted to really get it going. Can I say one other thing? That Jane Choi is in the audience for some of you retailers, and Jane's from Newcrest. I hope you don't mind, Jane. They've got a big workforce coming. And I like to think this won't be the last of our business forums. We'll do this again regularly. Jane is spearheading the work at a number of quite extraordinary over the next year or two. Those workers will be in town. They will be procuring. Maybe that's one thing you should do, is connect with that project those 2-3 years and figure out how you can get money off that project and that initiative. A third thing I'd like to mention, just because I've got the floor, is that Councillor McRae and some other councillors are sponsoring a buy local change to our local purchasing policy. The current 2% is arguably not really doing that much. We spend, I think we spend 47% of our council spend on locals, but we're really going to try to ramp that up, at least for the next 12 to 24 months while the drought goes on, break early next year. So I would encourage you, that'll go on exhibition, probably it'll go to the December 3rd meeting. All our policies go on exhibition for 28 days. Have a look at it. If you think the percentages we are proposing are too low, whatever, get involved, please. And that'll come back to council, will be adopted in January, February, and I think you'll see a pretty radical change to some of our purchases. Sorry.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you so much for coming. I think we're going to wind up on time. And as Dave said, we'll do this again. If you've left your email address, we'll keep you in touch as things happen some more. There's some takeaways to do, and there's some opportunities to get some more sent to you. Come and see Tony, make a booking at some point. You don't have to do it now. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.